Panel the House. So what exactly is it that Ruka practically talks to you about in today's debate, and how is it that we do not get a reasonable engagement from closing government? So first and foremost, Ruka talks to you about the optionality in terms of opt-in and opt-out. Secondly, she talks to you about the interrogatory nature, joint liability, which is a very crucial thing here, and also the self-regulatory nature. Panel, Ruka also, examines the burden in this debate. Already on the face of the motion, we already see that a level of culpability exists, because they say that these religious organizations makes them, makes bad decisions that are harmful to them. So this is already a culpability on its own. But the extent that Ruka interrogates is that level of culpability enough for these individuals to sue them? And on this side, we say no, because of that instance of joint liability. However, let us examine some feeble responses we get from closing government to our case before we move on to opening. So first off, closing government comes to talk about, engages the concept of how two contexts, right? They tell you about how religious organizations in and of themselves, how two contexts on how people can sue on behalf of the religious organizations. When religious organizations make decisions that are harmful to themselves, right? When leaders make harmful decisions to religious organizations, then individuals can sue, right? But what does Ruka talk to you about this? Ruka talks to you in a deconstructive matter about the accountability that exists. She talks to you about the internal structures that exist in many of these religious organizations. We already see this in Christian religious organizations, where they have the Christian association, right? These are the internal structures that create, that make these organizations in and of themselves accountable to a larger head. So we do not think the lack of accountability in a way falls in their case. Secondly, the second context that they engage is when the individuals, make a decision, when the religious organizations make a bad decision, for the individuals, right? And on this, what does Ruka talk to you about? What does Ruka say? Ruka talks about opt-in and opt-out, and they try in as much as possible, they try to track this out. It doesn't still fall in. Because one, Ruka thinks that in a deconstructive matter, that element of fear is something that already exists in status quo. If you think there's an element of fear for me to leave a religious organization, then why should that same element of fear not even stop you from suing, right? Opt-in already clarifies this. If there's already an element of fear that will not allow you to get out, then why should that element of fear not still stop you from suing, right? So we think that is not something that comes into this debate. So what exactly is it that they talk about? They talk about how it protects the class of people. Ruka already talks to you in a deconstructive matter, how she says that religion in and of itself is very much interrogatory, both within and without, right? And that is why you see, within we have Christian apologists that keep on interrogating the nature of Christian dogma, right? And even without, we also see atheists that keep on interrogating the Christian dogma, right? Ruka talks to you about the interrogatory nature of these things. Secondly, they talk about the demystification of religious institutions. Ruka already tells that in the status quo, this is very self-regulatory, and this is something Toby fails to analyze, because she tells you that the Christianity as it is now is not something that existed before. Because before, for instance, feminism was not a thing that existed in the Christian faith, right? But now we still see people, Christians calling themselves Christian feminists. We think that religion in and of itself is a regulatory element, and as such, that on demystification of religious institutions is not something that falls in. But panel, what exactly is it that you think that we think we get from OGM, from OO, and how do we think we still trash this matter? OG rather. So OG comes about trust issues and the rest of it all. And how does Ruka tackle this? In a substantive matter, right? Ruka says that to the instance whereby there is a joint liability, right? To the instance whereby, guys, keep quiet, I'm engaging you, don't worry. To the instance whereby there is a joint liability, and where does the joint liability come? It doesn't come in consent. That is the instance where they get it wrong. It comes in the information that you have, to the extent whereby you are not an illiterate as to the dogma and to the code of conduct. Ruka says this when she talks about code of conduct. To the extent when you are not an illiterate as to the code of conduct that is being present to you, then you do not think like you also have an hand in this. There's already a Bible, there's a Quran for you to interrogate. To the extent whereby the code of conduct presented to you has been neglected by you, and you keep on making these religious leaders, your point of reference. We think you are also culpable in this instance. And what does this culpability lead to? This is what Ruka talks to you about. Ruka says primarily that when there is a joint culpability in this instance, it exonerates an individual, and it doesn't make the other person, liable for reparations. So you cannot claim reparations because you're also an architect of your own misfortune, right? OG.
Okay, so once you establish a fiduciary relationship, there is no such thing as contribution negligence or joint liability because of absoluteness of trust. Please engage.
Panel the house. We think like this is wrong. There's a level to which even beneficiaries can play in trust, in trust relationships. And we tell you primarily that the level, like the role that these beneficiaries, the individuals in themselves play, is when they choose to, to close their ears and their eyes to the code of conduct that is presentable to them. We think primarily like this code of conduct exists to all and sundry. And Ruka also talks to you about the subjective interpretations. If we all, and she concedes, Ruka concedes primarily when she talks to you about how many of these religious organizations are more or less like charismatic structures and the rest of it all. But the enforceability is left to the individuals themselves. To the very extent whereby we think like you are presented with a code of conduct and then there's a close eye to that, and after closing your eye to that, we don't think like the sole responsibility or the sole individual to bear the culpability should be the churches or should be the mosques or the religious organizations in this instance. We think there's a level of culpability that ought to be shared between both parties. And of course, because there's a level of culpability that ought to be shared between both parties, it already exonerates many of these religious organizations. It doesn't make them, culpable for such, primarily culpable for such a thing. Panel, I haven't shown you how this is gone. How exactly are we distinguished from our opening? So opening talks to you about, saying, ideologies and like it doesn't mechanism and measures may not be enough. They're practically trying to question pragmatics here, right? And we think opening in the opening government trumps over them because we don't think pragmatics is primarily the thing that you need to question in this debate. But most importantly, one thing that they tell you, which we further strengthen and which makes us win today's debate, is that they talk to you about information, right? Panel, on our side, we say that the presence of the information which is available to all and sundry in these religious organizations makes them jointly liable for whatever damages may have accrued to them. Because in as much as many of these religious organizations have the honors to make the decisions, we think the enforceability or the binding nature of these decisions is left to many of these, adherents of such religious organizations. They still have the power, and we think like to the extent where this opt-in and opt-out mechanism is a thing that still exists for them, we do not particularly think that they are not culpable. We think there's a joint liability, and by virtue of that, they primarily cannot sue these individuals. Panel, what exactly is it that we've told you? We've been able to take out this guy's case by showing you how it doesn't stand, how there's a joint culpability and the rest of it all. We've also been able to show you how internal structures even exist if their own problem is accountability. But then, Ruka particularly tells you that the essence of joint culpability, the essence of joint liability, alongside the self-regulatory measures and interrogatory measures of the religious institutions, is what makes it stand and is what makes many of these adherents of religious organizations very much jointly culpable for whatever harm that comes to them. The religious organizations on this we are proud to oppose. Yeah.